We're here in a yacht party for entrepreneurs, and I met somebody named Mike, who is an awesome businessman entrepreneur because he's had many businesses, all different kinds, everything from seminars to lights to businesses that teach and educate. And what he has a lot of experience in is buying businesses, flipping them, selling businesses, remodeling businesses, growing businesses, and taking them to the next level. In order to do this, he's had to develop an amazing network and also amazing talent on both the social media in terms of Facebook, in terms of online marketing, digital marketing, and he has a lot of knowledge to share. So I'm really glad that you're able to come here and share these ideas.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
So I'd love to talk to you about how are you building these businesses to sell, and what are some of the strategies that you use and teach your customers for building businesses and selling them, even if they don't even have a lot of money?
Okay, so the very first thing that I always look at it is all companies get stuck in one of four ways. It's either marketing, people, systems, or money. Most people think they need money in order to fix their company. And the reality is most companies don't need the money. What they need to do is they need to fix their marketing, fix the people, fix the system, and it frees up the money. But they think if they get the money, they're going to get the systems, then the people, and then they'll fix the marketing. They go about it backwards. So if you focused on marketing, which is sales, all of a sudden you can fix everything. It makes it really easy. So that's the very first thing that we start to look at. So when we run across companies that, let's take any kind of a company, let's take a manufacturing company, they're selling a widget. Well, they don't have a way of really following up with the customer properly, which means they may depend on a salesperson to go out and physically meet a particular vendor who may want to buy their product. Well, what if they followed up with them with phone calls and direct mail and faxes and email and they send text messages? All of a sudden they could literally have thousands of touches in a month with that customer. Sooner or later they're going to buy, but most of them they'll only do 1, 2, or 3 calls and then they stop and they give up on that customer completely. And we all know that most people, or most businesses and consumers and businesses need somewhere between 3 and 7 touches before they ever buy something from you. So that's a very basic way that we want to increase the response rate that we have in any company. Most of them never do any of that.
When you say 3 to 7 touches, I know for us, we're talking about all sorts of kinds. Maybe it might be email, a phone call, a follow-up with like a YouTube video that's targeted to them or their interests, or maybe it's a call fire where we basically have a call that's projected in the future and then they get an automated call and they can push a button, or well, we even send like a video game kind of thing, or a ebook or a profile. But there's many different ways to do that. And a lot of people are doing other things like what you're doing on Facebook. What are some of the things you're doing on Facebook to?
So we micro-target our customers dependent upon the company that we own. So we figure out, well, where our customer is going to first, right? So we look at who our competitors are, we see what ads they're running, we see what the demographics of those people, and we go use Facebook, which is really the best search engine on the planet in order to find customers, because we can really market or really narrow that focus down on exactly who is our potential target based on what age range they have, what demographics they have, such as are they married, do they have a house, where do they live, what things do they like to do, what magazines do they like to read, what movies do they like to watch. All those things allow us to get really clear. I'd rather have a much smaller list of potential buyers that's really focused than some wide list of people who may never be interested in my product.
Absolutely. One of the things that we've done in the past is even uploaded a client base to Facebook, so we can send out targeted messages to particular clients about their particular products, or even send retargeting ads where
you do the similar audience as well, I assume, right? When you upload it and you got the similar audience, and expand your existing, so you figure out who your customer base is, upload them, and figure out, oh, we got this list of other people here that's matched with Facebook, said people like these are also like these, and you market all of them. Right? Retargeting and do all that.
And we found that also the networks. We've had our ads even appear like on Honda and other sites, and I go, wow, how is RSD able to afford to be on every website I visited today? That's amazing.
Retargeting is the best, isn't it? Because all of a sudden, when you get somebody, they start at your place, or even if they don't, well, here's something that we're doing, which is, we're the only company now that does this. We've been spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to figure this stuff out, is we're doing something called pre-targeting. So in pre-targeting, we figure out what websites people visit, and once they visit 3 to 5 websites, now we've actually captured their email, even though they never opted in, and we send them an email talking about our product in the moment when they were searching for it, even though they haven't gone to our website yet.
So in terms of pre-targeting, what is the way you're capturing their email before they go to your website?
Well, there are actual ways that you can scrape it based on their IP and where they're going and looking, because they've subscribed to some other service, and so we're actually able to pull that data and we can market to them.
What services do that?
This is
Are you building your own custom solution?
This is all custom built. That's internal. Nobody else that I know of is doing that, but that's one thing that we do for the companies that we work with, is this whole thing called pre-targeting. You've heard retargeting, right? Which is get somebody, oh, well, they come to your website, and based on a pixel that is on either their phone or their desktop, you market to them whatever the message is. Well, we're not even waiting for them to get that pixel before we hit them.
That reminds me of what Gary Vaynerchuk is talking about in terms of social media. So many people are sending people to websites just to capture information.
Exactly.
Yet at the same time, you could even install within YouTube itself or other social media, just little things that you could click on and actually just buy within the social media itself. Exactly. It's my business partner's belief that in the future, websites, having to send people to a website in order to take an action will be like the waves of the past. The new people will just be like, wow, I can just go on my phone. And then if someone goes, wow, you have to go to the computer to buy something, this is ridiculous. This is crazy.
You want to make it nice one click and let people buy what they want in the moment. Because as we know, most purchases are done based on emotional impulse. Very little logic. We make a decision based on emotion, but we justify it with logic. Right? So you make it easier for the customer to do that using a mobile device, which we all know that's where it's going. You get more sales. That's the bottom line.
Now, one of the things about what you're doing is you've got a network with a lot of people that are business owners, because you're the kind of business that you're in, you train people to get involved with leveraging themselves for different kinds of businesses of all kinds. And I guess the networking skills that you've developed to do that has built a situation where you've had all sorts of relationships. I find it really, really interesting to meet people that are really into that, because it also shows that they have a business savvy in general, because business is all about relationships and building blocks and what have you. I'm curious about, even though your business is not about building relationships itself, how much of the relationship building and networking process are you teaching your clients or the companies that you work with in terms of like the education part?
Well, I'll go at it from two different angles, right? So we have one set of customers who find businesses that we may want to buy. We'll pay them a $20,000 finder's fee for doing that, right? We'll talk about that later if you want to. But the other side is when we're dealing with a business, we say, how do you get your message out to your customer? How do you develop that relationship? Because if it's an owner-operator type business, it's going to be capped at so far because it's developed or determined by just that one owner's relationship with his key customers. What we need to do is turn it into a brand and get away from an individual and turn it into a corporate brand that could still have relationships with lots of different people. Every business, everything is developed and managed and grown through relationships. So it's a lot of networking. So it's about finding out what I can do for the customer, not what the customer can do for me, which most people say, well, I just want them to buy my product. That's all I want them to do. If they don't buy my product, if I can provide value to them in whatever service or industry I'm in the company that we're talking about, if I can provide value to them, if I can help them, they remember me. Even if they don't buy my product, they may refer one of their friends who will buy my product today or do something else. So it's not about saying, how do I make the fastest buck right away? It's about me saying, how can I serve the customer first in lots of different ways? That's the best part of a relationship. If you focus on what's in it for them first, because that's all they care about anyway. Until they know me, nobody's going to buy from me until they know me, like me, and trust me. In that order. They have to know me, they have to like me, and they have to trust me. So until they do that, I'm not going to get a sale. So why not just serve them, find a way to do that, and all of a sudden they're like, wow, that's a pretty cool company, that's a pretty cool guy. He's helping me out, and he's not expecting anything in return, and I don't. I know that it pays dividends down the road, but it doesn't always, and it doesn't have to. So you focus on the other people first.
That's a very important concept for YouTube and social media, because I feel like a lot of the people who are customers or people that buy from us because they want to also just be our friends.
Yeah.
They like you. They want to follow your movement. They want to support you because you've offered so much value in the past, because we offer videos every day of the week. And I started doing that myself as a YouTube channel owner and a YouTube channel publisher. But I've kind of been like the late version to it, because a lot of my instructors have been doing this for years. I just started doing this year, and as a result, I'm just starting to build my channel and build a relationship. But I found by doing that, it actually increases the quality of the product and the content. And a lot of the questions, in terms of like my program, I just created a program called RC Founders Club. It's the first educational business program actually released within my own company. I did that because I've spent so many years as being the business person, managing the company itself, and not actually doing anything other than the operations and executing. I used to teach back in the day, but it's been almost a decade, because I'm a married guy right now, and our core program within Real Social Dynamics has always been about dating. Yet at the same time, all these questions, comments, people wondering, hey, so you know all this stuff. Here's a bunch of random questions I've turned into actually the content of the program that I've created. I've been listening to them. You have that empathy. Like my business partner sent me a video about that. You know, that empathizing with the clients, you understand what they need and going after it by giving them what they need. That's a challenge, though, when you need to interact with clients on a regular basis. You could get it from the seminars, you get it from the questions you get from the seminars. What are some of the things that you do to really understand your customers?
Well, I want to hear what they, dependent upon how it comes in, right? And dependent, again, which company that we own. The questions we get from a lighting company, like our boating lighting company, is different than we'd get from a nutraceutical, a vitamin company, right? It has different needs. But we know that one person who buys one product also buys lots of other product. So it's a perfect match to the Amazon model. When you go to Amazon, you buy something, you say, well, people that bought this also bought this, 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 and this. They give you that list of things down below. We want to try to find out what things that they want and what their need, what they're asking for. So it's a matter of either surveying them, have a quiz or whatever it is, and find out, well, what else do you need and how can we serve you the best? Even if it's not a product we have, I'm going to refer you to somebody that we know, somebody that's vetted by us, so that we can serve and say, hey, this is a good company to go to, because we'll put our name on the line. And if we can serve that customer right, it's about service first. So if we can serve the customer first and we provide value to them, and then they'll come back to us later.
Are you always looking to try to increase the relationship, the length of the relationship, the value you could offer in the relationship, and what have you?
Well, to us, right, some people that are watching this might understand this whole digital marketing space, right, where you have your monthly customer value, your average customer value, your lifetime customer value. Each of those are different numbers. The longer that customer stays with us and more products they buy from us over time, the more valuable they become. So if I'm only looking to sell widget A to this person and then I made my money and they're gone, I got to go find the next customer, it costs me a lot more to do that. To me, it's the McDonald's model, right? Where McDonald's spends $1.81 to get the customer in the door in order to sell them a cheeseburger for $2. So they don't make much money on that. They make like 19 cents on the cheeseburger, but what they do is they sell you fries, and they sell you soda, then they sell you an apple pie, and they sell you a sundae. All those upsells is all the profit. So it's a matter of figuring out what the customer wants and then give them even more of what they're asking for. They just don't know that they always need it.
And also, as the person who kind of works out all the details, you have this personality, you have this trust, and you're kind of like the guy who's also not just the organizer of the business structure and all that, but you're also the salesman. In terms of marketing, for a lot of people, marketing is almost everything for people who are digital, because they're usually presenting everything, the sales process, all through the marketing, all through all the digital media. Yet for a lot of your business, you're doing directly with the humans, and
right.
the marketing is important, but once you have marketed and captivated their interest, right, it's really about the sales process more than the marketing itself. And in which case the sales process becomes almost everything. What are you doing to try to get people to really buy into you as a person, to sell them on you being the person who's going to take their business and leverage it and sell it, or to grow it and take it to the next level?
Well, I think it all has to do with consistency of message, right? So you have one thing on your marketing that captures their interest. So you have to have a market to message match. So I have to figure out who the demographic of the person is that I'm trying to capture into my list or my buyer database with the initial message. From there, they come into my funnel. How are they coming into my funnel? Whether it's going to a website, or whether it's going to a brick and mortar retail business, or it's coming to a manufacturer, I have to figure out who that is and make sure it matches all the way along the way. Because if there's any kind of inconsistency, it throws up a red flag. And people say, well, wait a minute, somehow that didn't match up, therefore I don't trust you as much, and therefore I shouldn't buy from you. And so many people that think, oh, I just created the perfect ad, but they send them to a squeeze page or an opt-in page or whatever it is, or they send them directly to the sale, some big priced item, right? And they want to they're missing the boat because they're trying to capture the sale too early, rather than nurturing the client along and showing that you have value and that you're actually giving them something that is important to them, right? Most people mess this up because they think that they're too focused on what's in it for me versus me thinking about what's in it to my customer. That make sense?
Totally makes sense. You've worked with a lot of people that are business owners or successful businessmen, not necessarily entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs plus businessmen themselves. What are some of the typical mindsets that you find that are really successful implemented into the business world in terms of the people that you worked with that have been most successful?
The most successful people are willing to let go of control. All right, let me say that in a very specific way. They control their business and they run it, but they don't try to micromanage it so much so that they have to be involved in everything, because you can't be involved in everything. So they allow their people to grow, they allow their people to make mistakes so that the business can grow and run without them. You take somebody like Richard Branson, he has 430 different companies. Right? Somebody that has that many companies cannot run every company every single day. He has to have key people in place, allow them to run the business, allow them to make mistakes. And we might have people watching us today and say, well, yeah, but I'm not at Richard Branson's level, I'm down here at this level. Well, that's a matter of bringing people on board that fit the job rather than a job fitting the person. You get the right person for the right job, allow them to make mistakes and grow with your company, and take accountability, take responsibility for what they do. The people that are most successful allow the people under them to become superstars. So they let their ego step back and they get out of the way and let other people kind of take the limelight, but it lets the company grow and everybody wins. Those are the best people.
The challenge, I guess, I find is that there's a balance between that guidance and that control. Now, in terms of your life, how do you figure out what that balance is? In terms of the people that you're mentoring, in terms of the people that are business owners that you might have invested in, what are you looking for in terms of that balance between you being the mentor versus you giving them that empowerment?
Okay, so let's take it from two different angles, and I'll take it from the people that might be students or partners of mine versus a business owner partner, right? Two different categories. So a student type partner arrangement, there I look at, okay, where am I and where do they want to go? What do I need to do to help you get past yourself? Because most people get stuck because it's up here. This is their own worst enemy. They are themselves, right? That's the worst problem. And it usually has to do with a limiting belief. So it's the belief systems that they had when they were kids coming forward that says, oh, well, people said I shouldn't be because of my education, because of my sex, because of my religion, or because of my color, whatever it is. These are things that hold me back because other people dictated it to them. And the people that learn to say, you know what, I'm going to act in spite of my fear, I'm going to act in spite of what everybody else says, those are the ones that rise to the top and they just soar. Because it's not a step-by-step growth, it's I step here and it's a quantum level growth, they grow. And everybody else can't figure out how they do it, it's because they let go of some of those limiting beliefs. Same thing on the business side, when I'm dealing with a business partner, what I have to do is get that business owner out of the picture. And what I try to do is take the business, especially an owner-operator, and I want to turn that person into a chairman of the board. The chairman of the board doesn't answer the phone. Chairman of the board doesn't do marketing. Chairman of the board doesn't do the legal, doesn't do the sales, doesn't do the accounting, doesn't empty the trash. Chairman of the board doesn't do that. Chairman of the board supervises the other people underneath them and makes them superstars so they can grow. So it goes back to the same thing. So it's about really encouraging people, yes, you can do it. And I know that sounds very simple, but it really can be just that simple, because the people who come into any company, they already have a lot of skills. All we have to do is say, yes, you're right, let's tweak it up this way based on my experience, or bring in outside consultants and let's do this, and all of a sudden they can rise. So it works in both ways, but both of them have limiting beliefs, either on the personal side that's holding them back, or the business side, because they say, for most business owners, the reason they don't grow is because of fear, which is also limiting belief on the personal side that they dragged with them.
My concern when I hear this, and I think about my own company, one of the challenges I face as a CEO is the empowerment of people. Yet at the same time, when do you know when you have the people that you're there to empower versus those, and giving them that full encouragement and belief that they can do it? When do you determine that they can do it versus whether or not you might not know if they could do it? So if you encourage them that they should just do it, you might encourage them to a situation where they're not ready for it.
Well, that's the thing, right? I'll give you an example. So I've worked with some doctors, right? And doctors who've wanted to become celebrities in their own particular niche. So we worked with this one neurospecialist. Guy does neurosurgery, and he also helps with migraines and stuff like that. He wanted to become a specialist, he wanted to become a celebrity, but he didn't have the belief in himself that he could do that. So one thing we did, we all of a sudden made him an author. Then we crafted a script around him and his story that allowed him to share, hey, here's who I was, here's what I did, and here's what I can do for you today. So we allow them to elevate. And then sometimes it's just a matter of saying, look, I need you to have a little bit of faith. You got to have a faith in what I'm showing you is going to work. Well, you do that, and you take them through little steps. All of a sudden they get a little bit of success, like, wow, that kind of worked. All right, now listen to me and do this. And you take them to the next step, and boom, and you just start really walking them up that ladder of success.
It sounds like a lot of it's all like positive and focused on that. When do you know when you're not supposed to do that positive feedback and when you're supposed to balance the encouragement versus just straight out telling them the truth of when they make those mistakes and that they need to correct it, in which case they might lose some of their ego.
Right. Well, I'm willing to let them lose the ego, so it's a balancing act for me. Okay, here's probably the easiest way to explain this. Think about children. Now, if you have a kid, right, how do you teach your kid that it's okay to fail? We don't learn from our successes, we learn from our failures. But we know that we need to fail in order as we get adults, we look back at all the failures that we had. That's made us who we are today, but also gives the experience and the confidence to know that, hey, I failed there, I can get through the next thing, I can get through the next thing. So we have to treat sometimes either our coaching students or our business partners or our partners in general that it's okay to fail. And sometimes we have to let them fail, because sometimes they won't listen to what we have to say. They think they've got all the answers, and because we've already done it, been there, done it, saw the results, we know that what they're going to do is fail, but they won't listen. Sometimes you have to let them fail. It's like, I remember when my son was walking along this little 2 or 3 foot wall, and I try to tell him, don't get on the wall, right? I don't want you to fall and get hurt. And he's like, no, I'm not listening. It's like, okay, I'll let him go. He falls, he gets hurt. Guess what? He doesn't climb on the wall like that anymore. Sometimes you just have to listen, or you have to let them experience it, because they won't do it or they won't listen to you, right? They have to take advice a different way.
That's definitely great when you want to get someone to stop doing something. What about those people who are not taking action? How are you motivating people and just be inspired to take action, have that passion to take the next step, and also have the diligence to take the next step when they have so many other things they need to do, especially the C-level people?
Okay, for me, that's an easy answer. What I have to do is figure out, by talking with them, and this goes all the way back to what we started with, which is relationships. I have to understand who they are and what's important to them. Some people, money's important, but not to everybody. Some people it's family, some people it's reputation, some people it's health. It depends on what's important to them, and I have to use that as a motivator, because everybody gets motivated by one of these other areas, and we have to figure out what is it that they really want. Right? Because some people, I want the toys, other people want fame. Some people say, I don't want any of that stuff, I want more time with my family. Well, if you want more time with your family, you have to let go, because you're going to have a heart attack if you don't. It's that kind of stuff. So you got to figure out what's important to them, and then you allow them to see, well, gosh, if I want more time with my family, let's say, what do I have to do in order to make that happen? Well, this discussion we're having over here, which is you got to bring these people in, you got to create these funnels, you got to do these systems so that you can let go over here, because now this will do it all for you, which means you have more time with your family.
I love that. It's a very strategic way of thinking in terms of finding someone's core values, maybe the core values of their core values, and utilizing that to motivate them to take that next step. It's beautiful.
But you got to get not the core value, you got to get underneath.
Exactly.
Right? Because they say, here's what my core value is, but it's not always what it is. There's usually something else that's underneath, and that becomes, from my perspective, it has a lot to do with whatever happened in childhood that they were getting or were not getting. Right? And that established where their value is at today. So once we get here, now I understand what really motivates them. I won't use it as a weapon. I use it as a way to help encourage them and help them grow.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the things that we're really focusing on now, trying to find what we need to do on a chief level on getting people that could really optimize the efficiencies. And I could totally see this is part of that strategy, and I will definitely show these guys the interview that I'm doing with you to show them these kind of things. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot. That was a great share.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Cheers.
Great to be on here. Thank you. Cheers.